this is my lab experiment safety checklist. So first off, always have eye protection. These glasses, for example, are not technically FDA approved for and should not be used as safety glasses or lab goggles. These ones that I got at a local hardware store are and should always be used when using things such as power tools or other sharp objects like this chisel. Another thing you should never do is not have closed-toed shoes. You can step on something and really hurt your feet. It really sucks. You should also always have handy a pair of gloves. These ones happen to be cut-proof and heat resistant. And the last basic thing you should have is a fire extinguisher. This one is actually, as well, not technically FDA approved. This is one that I use for a lot of my things because I do not use chemicals such as, I don't know, alcohol or something down here. Rubbing alcohol, to be clear. So, yeah. You're just gonna spray and sweep with the fire extinguisher to put it out. This one is a water, but you can also use things like I could fill this up with baking soda, and that would do very well. Or cornstarch or something. A lot of fine powders, you just gotta take the oxygen out of the air. That's how fire extinguishers work. Now for the outside section. Another thing you should always have is an easily accessible workspace. I have my gloves here ready to be used. I have a placemat so that nothing will automatically just get right onto the table and ruin it. This is cardboard, so it'll kind of soak up any liquids that I might spill. Most of the time it's just water. Almost all of the time, actually. Or paint or something that's loose. I then have closed-toed shoes, again, right here. Duct tape, because you always should have duct tape. Like, it's just completely unsafe not to have it. It fixes everything. The next thing is an easily accessible fire extinguisher. A vacuum to clean up any messes that you may make, such as broken glass. It's a nice shop vac, so nice because they have a nice thick plastic casing around it. And they can suck up liquids as well. Next is a vacuum and soap. I just called a sink a bathroom. Or vacuum. Oof. It's a sink. Okay. Then the proper things to clean up a mess. I have a microfiber cloth that you can use to polish anything off, and a sponge, and then just regular soap will do. A safe place to store all of your power tools. To store all of your sharp objects. For example, we have this old tool box that was my great-grandfather's that keeps almost all of our sharp objects nice and tucked away. We have our chisels and files, sandpaper, and saw blades. Okay, so now it's time to do stuff for the outside experiment. Now I'm in my garage. If it'll focus. There we go. Here to show you some of the stuff here. Again, you should have a safe place to store all of your tools and everything. We have our big bucket of power tools. Probably not the safest option, but we always wear gloves out here, and all the batteries get taken out, so they can't even work without the batteries. The next thing about the batteries, actually, is being prepared beforehand. You can see all of these batteries are charged. We always keep them charged in case we need them for an experiment or something. You also might point out that a lot of these are just, it's more of like a workshop, but a science lab and a workshop are pretty similar. Whoop. Okay. Just dropped my phone. I'm now putting on, for example, work gloves. I have on closed-toed shoes. And then, finally, safety glasses. Then we also have a big shop vac. It can suck up water and liquids for safe containment. Just make sure you empty it after you use it. We then have a compressor that's ready for anything you may need it for, with a bucket to keep all the nozzles and everything nice and organized. And that's pretty much it for outdoor experiments. Oh, except for... Okay, so at that point, I actually forgot that I took the fire extinguisher downstairs. Normally, you should never, ever, ever forget it. And it can cause serious damage or harm to yourself or others around you if you don't have the proper safety equipment. Don't follow my example. I have terrible safety standards. All right. Except for our fire extinguisher, which again, I have the same fire extinguisher as the one I use downstairs. It's not technically FDA approved. It can only shoot water. However, when I'm actually doing something dangerous, like for example, I'm using a burner, I'm going to wear like a full face mask. I'm going to have like a sweatshirt on to keep all the stuff and chemicals away from my face and arms. Heat-resistant gloves that won't burn. And when I'm also working with hot things, I like keeping a nice pair of thick pliers so that you can pinch hot things inside of them and not have to burn your fingers. And that's it for outside. Okay. Now it's time to explain about outside, like field trip or lab field experiments. I have a water bottle in my backpack, FDA approved safety glasses and sunglasses so that I can see what I'm doing without having to squint or anything. Carabiners in case you need them. Cloth to keep safety glasses and my sunglasses safe or clear. A headlamp in case it might get dark. Our first aid kit with everything you need. This one has Aquaphor, a card for bee stings, tweezers, Q-tips, and Band-Aids, and a small little container of hydrogen peroxide and alcohol. Next, I don't know what you're doing with your experiments, but I have earplugs in mine because sometimes the things I use are loud. And you should also have a whistle, which I don't have on me because I don't do a lot of field experiments, in case you need to signal for safety or you get lost from your group or whatever. You should also always wear closed-toed shoes. And where I live, we have a lot of forest and plants, so we usually wear shoes or closed-toed shoes, pants, and a sweatshirt for our field days, because otherwise you can get things like poison ivy or wild parsnip. Wild parsnip is even worse than poison ivy too, because it'll give you third-degree burns when it's exposed to sunlight or UV light. Thank you, and I really hope you enjoyed my safety presentation.